In this video, I'm going to show you how to make an AI appointment setter from scratch that you can easily integrate in your business and avoid missing any calls. Whether you are a real estate agency or running a personal business, if you need to handle any incoming calls, this tutorial will be extremely useful. It will save you a lot of time while maximizing your client engagement and streamlining your workflow. The best part is that I will give you all the templates for completely free so that you can fully customize your agent for every business needs. We will use Vapi for the voice agent and we will build a no-code automation flow using The agent will act as a personal trainer who will ask questions about the caller's fitness routine and negotiate a time for an in-person consultation. To make it production ready, we will use Google Calendar to manage the trainer's schedule and to make sure we avoid double bookings. And to store the customer's data, we will hook it up with Google Sheets as well. But first, let me show what it can do.
Hey, this is James. How can I help you?
Hi James, I'm calling because I would like to work with a personal trainer.
Great to hear that you're interested in personal training. May I have your name, please?
My name is Tom.
Nice to meet you, Tom. What are your fitness goals?
I would like to gain some muscle.
Got it, Tom. Can you tell me about your current fitness routine?
I go to the gym like 3 times a week.
That's good to know, Tom. I would like to meet you in person for a consultation and trial session. When would be a good time for you?
How about on Wednesday?
One moment. I couldn't find any available slots on Wednesday, but I can suggest meeting on Thursday. Here are the available times, 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. Would any of these times work for you?
12 p.m. sounds good.
The appointment has been successfully booked, Tom. Thank you for your time. Looking forward to meeting you in person.
Thank you, James. As you could hear, it asked the caller a couple of questions, then it suggested a free time slot for the consultation, which is pretty awesome. I'm very excited to build it. I think it will be super useful for you, so stick around if you want to create your own assistant or offer it to someone else. In the first part, we will create a voice assistant with Vapi so that we will have it ready when it's time to test it. Then we are going to create 2 automation flows. The first one will negotiate an appointment with the user, and the second one will handle the booking and recording the data into our database. I created a flowchart to visualize how the process will look like. The blue color represents Vapi and the purple boxes will be handled by Make. First, the assistant will ask a couple of simple questions like what is your name, what are your fitness goals, then it will ask the caller for a preferred day. The user can say anything, for example Friday or next week Monday. Then we will send this data to Make, which will fetch our Google Calendar and checks for the available slots for the day. If we have available slots, we will send that back to the caller. If they reject it, we ask the caller again to suggest a date, but if they accept one of the free slots, we will book that in our Google Calendar and also record their responses in our database. If we don't have any free slots for the caller's preferred day, we will suggest an appointment on the next available day. If the caller rejects it, we ask them again about a preferred day, but if they agree with it, we continue with the booking flow. To get started, let's set up Vapi. I created an assistant. Let's start by providing a first message. Hey, this is James. How can I help you? Then paste in the prompt we will need. I'm going to put it in the description below. For the voice, I'm going to use 11 Labs, but you can pick any voice you like. Once we have that, we will need to create the tools to be able to suggest the time slot and perform a booking. Click on New Tool, select Make, and for now we can leave the server URL empty. We will get back to it once we have the make.com scenarios. We will need one property, which will be the preferred time. Also add a description, the preferred time by the user to have the appointment on. Then click Next, and we will call the tool Suggest Slot. And the description will be, this tool will be responsible for suggesting the user a suitable slot for booking an appointment. It will return the suggested time for the consultation. We can click on Next, then Create. Let's make another tool for finalizing the booking. Select Make again and leave the server URL empty. We will add 4 properties. The first one will be the name of the user. The next one will be goals, the user's fitness goals. The next one is routine, the user's current fitness routine. And the last one will be the date time. the date and time the user will have the consultation on. Once we have them, add them as required, so it won't trigger the tool without the user providing this information. Click next, then let's call our tool book slot. And the description will be, this tool will book the slot for the consultation. Click on next, then create. Now we need to go back to the functions tab and add these tools. Then click on publish. With that we have everything we need for now. Later we will get back and add the server URLs to our tools once we have the make.com scenarios. To assign a functionality, let's open make.com. If you don't have an account, you need to create one. At the scenarios page, we need to create a new scenario. I will call it suggest appointment. The module that's going to trigger this scenario will be a webhook, but for now I will add the set variable module so we don't have to call the agent every time we want to test it. Let's call the variable preferred time and set the value to a random day. I will set it to Friday. To be able to know which exact date it is, we need to run it through OpenAI. So let's create a new module, create a completion, click on create a connection, and to be able to use OpenAI, you need to create an API key at platform.openai.com. After you created an account, you need to go to your profile and click on API keys. You can create a new key by clicking on create new secret key. Let's call it make. Then create secret key. After you clicked it, you will see your API key. I suggest saving it somewhere because you won't be able to see this key again. We can paste this API key to make, and we will also need the organization ID. So go back to OpenAI, and if you go to the General tab, you will find your organization ID. Copy it, then paste it in the OpenAI module at make. We successfully authorized OpenAI, so let's select a model. I'm going to select GPT 3.5 Turbo. Then let's add a message and select system. Then let's start writing the prompt. We need to make sure it will give us the proper date, otherwise it can result in making a booking for a completely random date. For this reason I'm going to be very detailed. You are a date calculation expert. The days of the week in order: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The current date is, it is currently, let's add the format date util, and pass now as the first parameter, and the second parameter will be the format, which is going to be year, month, day. And the current date is, let's use a format date again. The first parameter will be now, and the second one will be d. To make 100% sure it will give the proper date, I'm going to tell the upcoming days using the dynamic variables. So let's write next week dates, format date, and within the format date add an add days util. The first parameter will be now, and the second one will be 1. And outside of the add days, add the format, which will be d. This will be the name of the day. Will be format date, add days, now 1. And for the last parameter we need the format of the date, so let's copy that from the current date. This will tell OpenAI the date for tomorrow. Now let's copy it and paste it for the upcoming days. We need to do that 6 more times. and increase the number in the add days function for each of them. When we have that, let's provide rules. The format of the output should be year dash month dash d. Don't include any explanation. The output should be later than the current date. When you are provided with a day, find the upcoming occurrence of that day. Then let's another message. Select user as the role and let's add the task. Find the date for, and let's add the preferred time variable. Click OK. Then let's run the scenario. It looks like it gave us the correct date. Next we need to check our Google Calendar and list all available slots for the next week. The easiest way to achieve this is to connect our calendar to Cal, because then we can use their API and we don't have to build the logic ourselves. Let's open cal.com. And there you need to create an account and connect your calendar. Once you are in, you need to create an event type by clicking on New. And after you created it, you will see your event. I created an in-person consultation and added a 60-minute duration for the meeting. Next, let's go to Apps page and we need to search for Make. Once you found it, install the app. Let's generate an API key, then copy it. Now let's go back to Make and add the Cal module. We need to make an API call and paste the API key in the field. Once we have it connected, I'm going to open the API documentation and find the get available slots endpoint. Let's copy the URL, paste it, and for the header we don't need to add our API key anymore, but we need to add a few parameters. We need to add the start time, which will be the current time. We also need to format it, so let's use a format date util. The first parameter will be now, and I'm going to add the format in the second parameter. Then do the same for the end time, but add 7 days so that we will only check the upcoming week. Then we need to add the event type ID. If you go back to Cal and open your event type, you can get the ID from the URL. Copy it. Also add the duration, which will be 60 minutes. And last, I'm going to add the time zone because initially it fetches everything in UTC time zone. And when we will run the module, it's going to fetch all the slots that are available to book. Next, let's make an array from the slots collection so it will be easier to work with the data. Let's create a set variable module. I will call it slots array. Let's select a toArray tool and pass in the slots we received from call. Let's run it. And now we have an array that has key value pairs. So now we will be able to check for the date the caller suggested. Let's add an iterator. add the slots array, then create an array aggregator. Select the iterator as the source, and we will need the value and the key. Between the iterator and the aggregator, let's add the filter. This is where we will filter out the dates and only leave the one that the caller suggested. The condition will be key, and it should equal to the result from OpenAI. Let's test it by running the scenario. Looks like it worked. Next we need to add the router because there might be no days for the suggested date, so let's add the router module and set up a filter to the first route. I will call it the day is available. And for the condition we will check the array from the aggregator. The length should be greater than 0, which means there are free slots. Next I will set up an iterator again because we want to loop through the results and set back only the times. The array will be coming from the aggregator. And after that let's add the text aggregator. The source will be the iterator and the text will be format date. The first parameter will be time and the second parameter will be hours, minutes and A, which means PM or AM. Open the advanced settings and set a comma as a separator. Once we added it, let's run the scenario again. Cool, looks like we got all the available dates. Next we will send these back to Vapi with the Webhook response, but first let's handle the case when there are no available slots for the preferred date. Let's go back to the router, set the route as fallback, so that it will only be triggered when the first route is false, and set a new variable which will be the available days. Here we need to get the days that are available. Before running the scenario, let's modify the preferred time to Saturday because on that day I set myself to unavailable. Run the scenario. And now we have the days that are available, so we can use this as a suggestion for the caller. Next, add another variable. And here we will find the first available day. So let's call it first available day. And for the value, we will check the first item in the array. For that, we can use the first tool and pass in the slots array. Let's run it again. And we receive the correct data. Now I want to find the day name from this date, so add another variable. I will call it name of day. And we can get the name using the format date. We need to add the key. And to get the day name, add DDDD for the second parameter. Let's run it again. Cool, it gave us the day name. Next, let's iterate through the available times, so create an iterator. And add the first available day value. Then add the text aggregator. The source will be the iterator, and the text will be the time slots, but I will format it so it won't show the date, only the time. For example, 9 AM or 10 AM. The second parameter will be hours, minutes, A. You can also clone the module from the other route. And also add the comma as the separator. Let's try it again. And it worked. Now let's set up the webhook so that we can receive the date from Vapi. Let's go back to the first module and replace it with a custom webhook. Once you have that, copy the URL and go back to our Vapi tool and paste it in the server URL field. Before running it, I'm going to unlink from the OpenAI module until we get the first data. Let's call our agent. We successfully received the data, so let's add the preferred date to OpenAI. Now let's add the webhook response to the end of each route. I'm going to paste in the format it expects. We just need to replace the tool call ID and the result. Once we have that, add the same thing to the other route, but the result should come from the previous module. Now that we have set up this tool, we can start working on the other one, which will take care of the booking. Before we start working on it, I want to show you the spreadsheet I created. This is where we will store the information that the caller provides so that we can prepare for the meeting. We will insert the name, goals, routine and the book date. Now let's go back to Make and create a new scenario. Let's call it book consultation. For the first module, I'm going to add the set multiple variables module. The first variable will be the name, which will be Tom. Next one is goals. Wants to gain muscle. Then routine. Goes to the gym every day. And finally the date time. Friday at 1 p.m. The next module will be OpenAI. Create completion. Select 3.5 turbo. And I'm going to paste in the same prompt we used previously. The only thing I'm going to change is the output format for the date. And also add the date time from the previous module. Now let's try it out. Cool, we got the correct date. Next, let's add the Google Calendar module. We need to create an event. Once you're connected, select your calendar ID, and the event name can be anything, but I will call it name and Tamas consultation. The start date will be the result from OpenAI, and the duration will be 60. Let's try it out. Awesome, it created an event. Next, let's add the Google Sheets module. We need to select the first one. Connect with our account. Then select the spreadsheet. Once you selected it, insert the variables to the values. Click OK, then run the scenario again. As you can see, it inserted the data to our spreadsheet, so next let's add the webhook that Vapi can trigger, delete the tools module and add a custom webhook. Let's copy the URL and go back to the book slot tool in Vapi and paste it into the server URL field. Then go back to Make and let's unlink it from the modules and call the agent. Once you call it, you will see all the data from Vapi, so let's add them to the proper places. And finally, add a webhook response. For the result, let's say successfully booked the time for the consultation. Let's call the agent one more time.
Hey, this is James. How can I help you?
Hey James, I'm calling because I would like to work with a personal trainer.
Great. I'd be happy to help you with that. First, may I have your name, please?
My name is Christopher.
Nice to meet you, Christopher. What are your fitness goals?
I would like to gain some weight.
Understood. Can you tell me about your fitness routine?
I go to the gym like 4 times a week.
Got it. I'd like to meet you in person for a consultation and trial session. When would be a good time for you?
How about tomorrow?
I have availability for tomorrow at 12 p.m. and 1 p.m. Does that work for you?
1 p.m. sounds good.
This'll just take a sec. Thank you for calling me. I'm looking forward to meeting you in person.
Thank you, James.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
As you can see, the assistant made the booking in the calendar, and it also saved the data the user provided to the voice agent. You can easily customize this flow for any kind of businesses, and you can make sure you won't have to deal with any unanswered phone calls anymore. So this is super useful for businesses who typically get a lot of calls. Congratulations for making it through the video. I hope you learned something new today. I'm going to put the Vapi prompt and the make scenario in the description, so feel free to download it and use it in your own project. If you would like to have more tutorials like this, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one.